about 5 All-Stars a draft, and most of them are like one-time All-Stars. The last great year was 2011, when you got Kyrie Irving, who, by the way, what's his career without LeBron? Klay Thompson, a great number 2. Kawhi Leonard, really, really good, but odd. Jimmy Butler, again, difficult but talented. Isaiah Thomas, kind of falling apart. Vucevic for Orlando's a nice player. That's a great draft. That gave you 7 guys. And Kemba Walker. That gave you 7 guys. Most drafts, I mean, if you go to the last 4 or 5 drafts, you're getting 2 guys a draft who are look like they're all-stars. And I'm not talking dominating all-stars. So, sometimes we make too much of this. But it is a crazy day in New York. I thought it was going to be like Tiger winning the Masters, Zion to the Knicks, and it just didn't feel that way. So they're freaking out in New York. And I want to go via the Coward Global Satellite Network. Ian Begley, formerly ESPN New York Daily News, excellent reporter, SNY now, NBA insider. So they're freaking out in New York. I don't think it's the end of the world. I think a 3rd pick, you're going to get a real player, R.J. Barrett. I think the gap 3 to 4 next to the Lakers, I don't know what you're getting there. So give me the sense of New York City this morning. Or have they come off the ledge a little bit?
I think it depends on the Knicks fan you're talking to. This fan base can be pretty schizophrenic. I feel bad for the fan that sat through this 17-win season and was hoping for Zion or was hoping for Ja Morant. So that fan is probably distraught. But listen, the disaster scenario here for the Knicks, as you said, was falling to 4 or 5. So the idea that they landed at 3, I think this puts them in a good spot. They're either going to get a good player or they get a very good trade chip to talk to New Orleans about for potential Anthony Davis trade. So listen, this was not the worst case scenario. I think the Knicks fan is conditioned to expect the worst case scenario. This was not that. It was not the dream scenario. It was somewhere in between.
Let me ask about that, because the Knicks have been so bad, there's a sense they're tanking. So now they have the number 3 pick. That's a real thing. I don't think Dennis Smith Jr. is much of a trade piece. I think he's his own guy. I think he's difficult. Porzingis he's gone. There's Kevin Knox. If they wanted Anthony Davis, they got some draft picks. They could give away this pick. What would a trade package look like to get Anthony Davis compared to what the Lakers would do?
So if you look at the Lakers and even the Celtics, their younger players are much more established than what the Knicks have on their roster. I mean, you mentioned Kevin Knox. You have Alonzo Trier, too. Mitchell Robinson, who showed a lot of promise in his rookie season. But in my mind, what would put the Knicks over the top in any Anthony Davis trade package would be those future firsts that they could include. They have 7 first-round picks in the next 5 years. And
wow.
If they're willing to push some of those in, I think that gives David Griffin something to think about, because if you're New York, you're not going to beat the trade packages that include maybe a Jaylen Brown or a Jason Tatum or Alonzo Ball or a Brandon Ingram, but you can give Griffin more picks than these other teams. That's where I think the Knicks can separate themselves.
By the way, the Kevin Durant rumors, that's all they are at this point. 2 days ago, I did have a current NBA player tell me it's done. KD's recruiting people. What do your sources say about Kevin Durant? Because you're in the city many speculate he'll end up in.
So, Colin, I will say this. First of all, you have put out a lot of these Kevin Durant rumors. Every time you say something on your show, I either hear it or I see it on Twitter. I have people ask me about it. So I think you're the biggest source of this rumor mill right now. But in all seriousness, I've heard similar things all year, that it's going to happen, that the Knicks feel confident about the idea of Kevin coming to New York. But I don't treat this as a foregone conclusion, because in my mind, if Kevin were to sit in the room with the Golden State Warriors, if they win another title, and Steph Curry says to him, hey, just come back for one more year. Let's run it back. Stay until you lose. I think that's appealing. And then if he sits in a room with either Brooklyn or the Los Angeles Clippers, they talk about the rosters they have in place and the additional pieces they can bring in this summer. That's an attractive pitch as well. And we know, going back to Kevin's last free agency, listen, days before he made that decision to go to Golden State, he was telling people that he thought he was going to come back to Oklahoma City. So there's a chance that he changes his mind here, which is perfectly normal. I think we all would change our mind a couple times if we're faced with this big decision. But that's why I don't treat this as 100% done until I see his name put to paper, because there are too many variables here when you're talking about Kevin Durant and the Knicks.
James Dolan. People say, Kevin, I'm one of them. Be careful. Don't go, there's a sea of money out there. Don't go from great ownership to sketchy ownership. Is there a sense Dolan would step away now that he has more trust of his front office execs?
Well, I think if you go back to even the Phil Jackson era, by and large, Jim Dolan has kind of stepped off and he let Phil run the show. Mostly, I think there are a couple things here and there where he stepped in on, but by and large, Phil had the keys to the car. Same thing with Steve Mills and Scott Perry. He's not involved as day-to-day as he was before Phil Jackson. He's acknowledged that mistake. So ownership certainly matters. You know, we all say it. That might be the most important component to a winning organization. But to me, I don't think Kevin Durant is factoring Jim Dolan in heavily to his decision one way or the other.
Do you believe, Ian Begley joining us, do you believe that, let's just talk Anthony Davis, do you believe the Knicks will move the number 3 piece and give up all those first-rounders to get AD? What do you think happens in the next month?
To me, it depends on Kevin Durant or another player that the Knicks could potentially land in free agency. If you get Kevin Durant or you get Kawhi Leonard, you're on the clock. It's win now time. So I don't think you value those young players and those future picks as much as you would in Anthony Davis, because it's on you to put a star or stars around Kevin Durant or Kawhi Leonard, whoever that top free agent is. So I think if they do get Durant, if they have a commitment from Durant, that makes them more eager to make that Anthony Davis trade. If they don't get a top free agent, though, I think the prudent thing to do would be to be patient, to punt the summer, maybe to take back a bad contract and a first-round pick and a trade, as we've seen the Brooklyn Nets do, and just to keep going forward with this young core. But again, if you get that one star in free agency, I think that makes them much more aggressive in the Anthony Davis pursuit.
But for the record, of all the other guys, Kyrie, Kemba, Butler, in the New York papers in your area, we all hear AD. We all hear KD. What's the other name you keep hearing?
It's Kyrie. It's Kyrie, and I think it'll come down to Kevin Durant, and if he tells the Knicks, listen, I'm coming, but I want Kyrie here, the Knicks go and get Kyrie. I think it's as simple as that. But Kyrie is on record as talking about, you know, how he thought of the Knicks as a potential free agent destination before he committed to Boston before the season. So we know that Kyrie thinks about the Knicks as a free agent destination. A lot of people think he's going to leave Boston. I think that's why the Knicks will be strong suitors for Kyrie come July 1 if he indeed decides to leave the Celtics.
Ian Begley, great stuff. Congrats on your career ascension. And when you're out to L.A., give us a call. Stop by. Thanks, Ian.
Appreciate it, Colin. Thank you.
You bet. I don't think it's the end of the world. And I will say this is I've been texting during breaks today, in between getting locked out of the studio. I've been texting my scouts on who's the best 4th player. I got 5 different answers. I mean, that tells you everything you need to know. Every scout I talked to has got a different number 4. 4 different responses today, 4 different number 4s. And that's why it's called a crapshoot. We know Zion's going to be terrific. We know Ja Morant's going to be terrific. Barrett's going to score a bunch of points. He's got a nice jumper. He's long. He can handle the ball. He averaged 22 at Duke, surrounded by all those NBA guys in a college system. Okay, so he's going to score. But the gap to 3 to 4, I'm not saying the 4th pick could not be great. But when I'm texting my guys and I'm getting 4 different answers, that's what crapshoot means. It's eye of the beholder. Everybody's eyes like Zion. Everybody's eyes like Ja. Everybody's eyes like Barrett. That's not eye of the beholder. Everybody likes those guys. After that, it's just like the NFL draft. Everybody liked Quinnen Williams to the Jets. Everybody liked Bosa. Then, Raiders' 4th pick, everybody thought would go 22nd. Most, you'd be amazed. Even in the NFL, I've been told this for years. In the NFL, most teams believe there's about 13 to 15 really first-round locks. After that, teams would mostly rather get 2nd, 3rd, and 4th guys and pay them less. Think about all the college players. And I talked to several. I mean, I had dinner with a GM a month ago. He said we had 13 what we considered great players in the draft, like really special, right out of the chute. Boom, special guy. They didn't have 14, didn't have 15, didn't have 16. So NBA draft. I'm looking at the NBA draft right here. I'm going 20 years in. If you go back 20 years, there is one game changer every other year. And I'll give you an example. 1999, there was not a game changer. I mean, Baron Davis was great, Richard Hamilton was really good. It wasn't a game changer. In 2000, there wasn't a game changer. In 2001, there was Tony Parker. He got a title for the Spurs. 2002, not a game changer. 2003, LeBron and D. Wade. Game changer. 2004, 2005, 2006. Bunch of good guys, not a game changer. 2007, Kevin Durant. 2008, I'll give you Russell Westbrook. I don't have to, by the way. I will. 2009, James Harden, Steph Curry. 2010, wasn't one. 2011, a couple. 2012, is Anthony Davis a game changer? Not yet. One playoff win. 2013, one, Giannis. 2014, 2015, 2016, I don't see one. So that tells you, you're getting about every other draft, you get a Durant-ish. And then you get about 5 All-Stars a draft, and there's a lot more Mo Williams All-Stars or a Paul Millsap All-Star than there is a LeBron All-Star. Joy of the news.
No.